We are just in phase one with these heavy snowbursts. The winds are starting to pick up. The temperatures will drop, and I mean almost instantaneously, going from around freezing down into the low 20s. So any slush that we have will rapidly freeze up. And this is a situation where you should not be on the roads. Anywhere around Louisville Metro, you've got to wait a couple more hours if you even think about getting out there. This is what it looks like in downtown. In Muhammad Ali, and we've been harping on this all morning, it does not matter how much salt, how much pre-treating you did. The snow intensity that we talked about for days that was likely would completely cover up the roads. Here comes an ambulance down the roadways. We told you that the intensity was going to be there to cover up any pre-treated roads. That's what we're seeing. It's gone bonkers now. Hail possibly the size of golf balls right on top of E-Town. Again, this will head towards LaRue County with that 30 to 40 mile per hour movement, near golf ball size. And that's big enough that the insurance adjusters are going to get some calls today. I can guarantee you that. This is the one storm that means business, and it's moving through an atmosphere that has not been touched with any rain or any cooled winds from yesterday evening and the early overnight storms. So this is the one that can stay juiced up, and I think it will, all the way down through Adair County. From Louisville points to the north, we're fine. Severe weather risk is no more. Couple lingering showers, but we're going to track a stronger thunderstorm along the Ohio River, Breckenridge, Meade, now moving south of Perry County. This one just has some winds that could be 40 to 45 miles per hour, more of a lightning threat. This entire zone that I have boxed in, the number of lightning strikes in about 30 minutes is up around 800. Power outages, yeah, they're all throughout Kentuckiana, scattered, now localized here in Hodgenville, at least within the vicinity, reporting hail potentially 1 inch to 2 inches in diameter. And this has been holding. It actually started to weaken briefly, but then came right back up. As it moves down into Green, Taylor, Adair counties, it will hold its own. Winds could gust over 60 miles per hour. Not everyone's going to have that kind of wind, but a few isolated gusts could be 50 to 65 miles per hour as it moves towards Buffalo, Maple, and Mac. 12 minutes, 18 minutes, Summersville, and around 25 minutes, and then eventually down towards Campbellsville in 30 to 35 minutes. This is amazing setup here. We told you the energy was in place, the atmosphere was ready to explode, and that's exactly what happened. And if you're just tuning in, significant damage across sections of Kentucky. National Weather Service says that most likely a wet microburst down around Radcliffe. And what happens there, you get these torrential downpours, a thunderstorm gusts out, lets all that wind that develops aloft just come rushing down to the ground. Many times those kind of winds can be 70, 80, 85 miles per hour. And I'm sure when you start to see these pictures that we're talking about, you see why we're saying, hey, these winds were probably around 80 miles per hour or more. This picture from Radcliffe, look at the house, right in half, the roof gone, taken off, trees blown over. Another picture from Radcliffe, and thanks to everyone who helped out. Going back as we started at 5 o'clock, it seemed like every 15 minutes we'd get a new photo and another weather report. Without you, we can't pass along information like this. We do have the possibility of those damaging straight line winds rushing off to the east at around 50 to 60 miles per hour. This is the hail tracker. It's right on top of Charlestown, at least 1 inch in diameter. The radar's estimating that. If you're in Oldham County, you really don't have time to get the cars in. This thunderstorm's moving at 50 miles per hour, so it's there. It's arriving. If you're in Demplaytown to Crestwood, you only have a few more minutes before the lightning arrives and before you get into the heavy rain. So that's the latest. It is now 2:45. We have severe thunderstorm warnings that will extend for another 15 minutes. This cell will hold together and continue off to the east, so we would anticipate new warnings. We'll go on, toss it back to regular programming. If we have any upgrades with the warnings, if we get new warnings, we will break in and let you know. But if you're watching from Oldham County, Buckner to Crestwood, I know the kids just got out of school. They're heading home. We should make it through just fine. Let's not panic. Let's take a slice of this storm vertically. A lot of times you can tell the intensity with how high up in the atmosphere these storms go. And right now, the heaviest rain is extending to around 40,000 feet. We have precipitation all the way up to 60,000 feet in the atmosphere. This is a Big Daddy storm. This thing is monstrous. I do think as it continues to the east and northeast, some weakening will most likely occur. Some weakening, but right now this guy's raging, and in Jasper you're going to get blasted with heavy rain and a lot of dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning. We go to the muggy meter. We're back into this miserable range. It's going to be dangerous. I mean, if you're doing anything for a few minutes out there to where you don't have water to drink and keeping hydrated, you're going to be presenting yourself with a tricky situation. We'll hit 94 degrees, 95, somewhere in that range for a high, but it will feel like 103 to 107 degrees across sections of Kentucky with those peak heat indices during that afternoon. It's one of those days as well where you look to that skyline and that sunshine's going to be beating down. Now we talk about the second area of potential danger in Kentucky, and that comes in the form of severe weather. We look at the Storm Prediction Center risk zone. Includes just about everyone here in Kentucky, and even parts of southern Indiana. I would just act like you're under a risk. I think there could be severe weather potentially anywhere in Kentucky. Looking at damaging straight line winds, possibly some hail, heavy rain and lightning. We don't have a good setup that would promote widespread tornadic activity if these thunderstorms do indeed develop. Even if we don't get one severe thunderstorm, any thunderstorm that flares up later on today into the evening will produce a bazillion lightning strikes. Lightning would be numero uno here with the storm threats. Wind and hail about in a moderate range, and heavy rain. There's going to be torrential downpours, and that moisture fetch off the Gulf feeds that. This was a wall cloud. Sometimes these do produce tornadoes, but yesterday up in Palmyra, look at this thing. I mean, when they start to rotate, a lot of times you get the funnels, and this can be the leading sign to severe thunderstorms producing tornadoes, but our atmosphere didn't have a lot of twisting in it, so we lucked out in that regard. Now that the sun's up in Shelbyville, look at this monster tree. This thing's huge. To bring something like that down, I mean, you're not talking 40, 50 mile per hour gusts. It's the real deal. Again, currently temperatures in the 60s. We're starting to dry out. I want to go over more video and photos. Again, thanks to everyone. You're the weather warriors. That's what I call you, because without you, we can't tell a story. Our viewing area is huge. We only have so many photographers and reporters that work here that can get out and cover this. So we turn to you. This one from Campbellsville, not only hail, but now starting to see those big trees that got knocked down yesterday in southern Indiana, quarter-size to golf ball size hail. Matthew and Carmen Barber with some modest clouds, and a lot of times these little bubbles that form there telling you there's a lot of turbulence and turning winds in the atmosphere. Matthew, thank you. Look at this, Tom Williams. How do you get a shot like that? That looks like something out of National Geographic. Here's the deal. As we trick or treat, 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, there will be some dry areas in Kentucky. There's also going to be some spots on the radar that are seeing some areas of rain. As we go from 7 to 9, cold enough that that wintry mix will develop, and the rain and snow chance actually goes back up as we come inside. The better chance for snow will be during this 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. window, a 7-hour window where light accumulations cannot be ruled out. You know what? If you're looking out the window, if you happen to be all buzzed up on that candy at 2 o'clock in the morning, you look out, you might see things covered up. The roads will be okay. They're not going to be icy and snow covered, so travel conditions will be all right. And as you trick or treat tonight, you're not going to slide on heavy snow, and you're not going to be slipping on frozen pathways out there. There's the midday rain. That little bit of a dry slot for some of us, you can see at 7 o'clock, indications of that snow mixing in. We have all the icicles that have accumulated on the shrubs, your tree limbs. I mean, now we're around freezing, so some of it's a little bit looser, and that's actually good news if you have to clean off your walkway. With those temperatures near 32, all the sleet and that slush and the freezing rain that added up to about a 1/4 inch